Well, okay, let me just try and see how I can. Nope. Hi, welcome everybody. Fighting with the Pretzel Rock, the YouTube and Twitch friendly streaming service for the music. Okay, hi and welcome everybody to the October stream. So today I will be having a little bit shorter than normal, somewhere around 1 hour, 1 hour 30, because I overbooked. So I have a stream and I have to go to friend's place. So sorry about that one. Okay, to cut the long story short and to make this more useful, let's jump straight into what I had in mind for today. Couple of things. First, we will go through the 0.116 version of the Home Assistant, and in the future, I was thinking I would like to match the date of the release of the new version of Home Assistant with the stream. So streams will be every third week, I think, because there is a 2-week development cycle, then 1 week of the beta cycle. So it can happen that there are 2 streams a month, for example, the first week and the last week of the month. But yeah, okay. So first things first, let's jump and see what's new inside Home Assistant. I don't know if anybody of you has already updated their system or not. Also, I don't know if you can hear the background music. It's too loud for me. But yeah, okay. So the current release is 0.116.2 as far as I remember correctly. Let me check here. Yes, .2 was released, I think, yesterday. So I don't know if anybody updated already or not to 0.116 version. The first version brought some issues with the MQTT, which were patched in the .1 version. I know that a couple of my sensors that I work with have failed to update, didn't load correctly or didn't display correctly, and this was because of the 2 new version of the, how it's called, Pejo MQTT. This is a Python library. From other noteworthy release notes, let's check them. Just a second to open up the screen here. Okay. Where is that? Okay. You should see the release notes here. So from the new noteworthy things, you now have Entities Cards Editor, which is a nice one if you use them a lot. It allows you to keep using the user interface for editing the entities cards while still preserving some of the stuff that you usually had to do in a YAML directly. Second thing that I like, I still haven't played with it, is the user and person management. Now they are combining, which is really great, both user inside the system and the person. So you can have, I have, for example, my parents that I have inside Home Assistant, but they do not have access. So they are tracked as the persons, while on the other hand, there are a couple of users, my family, for instance, that I live with, of course. So now you can combine them and one, and I really hope that these two will be completely merged into one thing, so you can just decide if you want to enable access or not, and to give them username or password. Restore snapshots. This is a great thing, especially if you are like me and constantly doing something. Before this addition, if you were installing system from the scratch, meaning that, for example, Raspberry Pi or SD card died, or as me, you spin out a new version of the Docker container or the Proxmox virtual machine, you had to finish the whole installation process, including the basic configuration of the Home Assistant. And now during this process you can simply load your backup and you do not have to configure anything. So this is really a nice and great thing. Next thing is this performance metrics, and let me jump into my system. Okay, a lot of cameras. There are 2 cameras here, but using 4 integrations. I'll talk about it a little bit later. So if we go to system, and now you have here the system metrics that can be, well, that are visually represented, not just the text or something like that. Hi Rasby, welcome to the stream. Okay, let's jump back to the 0.16 version. So yes, this H.265 and H.264, I still haven't played with H.265 for the Android app to see how I can stream things from the here to the app. It should be pretty easy. If it's working, it should be already on. But I don't know if anybody else is using H.264 standard and also is using Chromecast, for example, to push streams from your video cameras to the Chromecast device. For example, I don't know, Google Nest or Google Chromecast on TV or device, any Android TV, anything like that. People are experiencing issues, and this is directly tied also to my next video that I will be doing. So yeah, I hope they fix it soon. Okay, automation editor has now weekday support, which is also great. Now you can select on which dates or which days you want automation to be triggered. Something that you, if you are using either Docker or Raspberry Pi with the HasOS or the supervised version on the Synology, do not care really, is the version of the Python. 3.7 has been deprecated, and now the minimum version is 3.8 because 3.9 has been already released. More or less, you don't have to worry about this unless you have built Home Assistant yourself or are running it on some Linux hardware directly using the let's call it like Home Assistant repository. If you are using supervised container or Home Assistant OS, you do not have to worry about that. Okay, I haven't played with the open weather map, so I cannot tell you if all the languages are here or not. And more or less this is it. And one of the questions I have been receiving on the Discord and via email is this Synology DSM and support for cameras. And this is one of the things that I want to talk about today. I have, when they announced the switch, I have prepared everything for the switch, and after the last update I just tweaked some configuration YAML files and it's working perfectly for me. And I'll show you this in the here. So as you have probably seen, because I started with this, these are 2 cameras. And each of those cameras is connected to Home Assistant differently. So these 2 are connected through the Synology surveillance station. Those 2 here are the on-with integration inside Home Assistant, so meaning the Home Assistant is talking directly to the cameras. And those 2 here are the HACS add-on for the Reolink cameras. This one has some additional functionality that those 2 do not have. For example, you can see here if there is motion detected or not, and you can trigger here or enable or disable both the infrared on the camera and also the motion detection. And the last integration, or last type of integration here, is the FFmpeg. Also direct connection between the Home Assistant and cameras. So what's the story behind that? Next week, probably on Wednesday, if everything goes as planned, there will be a new video, and it will be me talking or babbling about the Reolink cameras and how you can integrate them inside Home Assistant. What are your options? What are some pluses and minuses? Here you do not see the fifth integration I did for that video, and it was Motion Eye. I did it quickly because I have one old video on the Motion Eye, so I didn't go into much of detail on how you configure it, what are some configuration options, for example, for motion tracking and things like that. But I did show you how you can add those two cameras also that way. And also during the weekend, I was talking with a lot of hi Matsi, sorry, password starting with the exclamation mark. Well, did you try putting it inside the quotes? Sometimes that helps, but I know that some integrations do not allow how they call it, monkey A for the mail, let's say it like that, and exclamation marks. If you do not, if it doesn't work, if you put your password in the quotes and it doesn't work, my best suggestion would be to try some other symbol. Okay, so as I was saying, as you can see here, there are different times on the cameras. Let me go into the editor mode. Let's edit and switch this to live. It will take a bit for cameras to load. I apologize for that. This is my recording Synology, which is not really Synology, it's a Proxmox machine on Intel NUC, and it's very low in terms of the resources. So yeah, it's not perfect for this, what I'm doing now. Okay, so if you look here closely, when all of them update, you will see a difference in time. This one has 34, 43, 45, and we are still waiting for this one to show up. Somebody asked both on the community, and I got a question like that in a direct message in a Discord and on the email. Did I notice the lag between the, well, there was always a lag, but now the lag is much more exaggerated in the last version than it was in, for example, 0.114 or 0.115. The problem is that developers for the Home Assistant updated how this transcoding works, and now we can experience much higher lags. Minimum lag I have noticed between the camera and Home Assistant, meaning if I go in direct connection, and this is something like this one here, so this is on with direct connection from camera to Home Assistant, is about 6-7 seconds, and here we can see that we have at least 14-15, if even not more, seconds of a delay. So bear in mind that when you implement cameras in your system, your choice of the integration methods can also impact quality of the system itself. For example, if you have some time sensitive, time critical video stream, you connect your doorbell and you want this doorbell to trigger the Home Assistant to push the video stream on your TV, for example, or Google Nest device, you can experience 10-15 seconds delay in the stream. So yeah, for my for purposes that I'm doing here, this works great and I'm not bothered with that. But I see that some people find this as a critical error. So just be careful about that one. As I was saying, yeah, I prepared the video. This is, let's call it like that, sneak peek or exclusive preview, how some call that. I received two cameras from Reolink. One is the 4015 megapixel, and the other one was 520 camera. So I prepared a bunch of video materials. There will be one large video next week, and I'll also be releasing a couple of specific videos. For example, how to handle triggering of motion inside the Home Assistant from cameras to be able to do something, for get notification on your mobile phone or things like that. Okay, so this is sneak peek. Next question, if anybody can guess what this is. I implemented something new, but it's on my other system. Let me change it here. Okay. So this is my home setup. I implemented a couple of things. I don't know if that's great. Yeah, quotes can help. Okay, so I implemented something new here, and I was wondering if anybody can notice what is new on this screen. This is my beta version or beta testing version of the screen, where I just dump things when I test them in my home setup. And this is something that I talked last Sunday in a mail day video, one of the packages I received, and I said that I will be playing with it because I didn't have time to implement this integration in the last couple of months now. Yeah, I received it on the 30th of July and just now implemented it. So this is Xiaomi Mosquito. This is really dumb integration, but it works and it's fun to have it here. So what it does, it pulls data via Bluetooth and displays if this device is turned off or on. It's currently off, and I hope it will be off most of the winter season because there are no mosquitoes. Then it tracks the status of the battery. There are two batteries inside the device. This is the main battery powering the vent that is circulating the air through this repellent or trap or whatever. And the third thing is that it's also tracking the state of the mosquito tablet, the mosquito repellent. This is some kind of spongy foam filled with who knows what that is actually a repellent, and it's an active component, meaning that this component itself has a battery, small battery, and this battery is used to track how many hours was the device turned on with this tablet. So when it is depleted, you have to replace it. So I wouldn't say that this is some high-tech integration, but it's really fun to add it, especially if you have multiple devices. It can enable you to track the status of both battery and the tablet. And yeah, let's call it preparation for the summer 2021. Next thing I added, which is a new since the last stream, well, there are probably a bunch of things new, but this is the biggest thing, is Metriful. This I mentioned a couple of times already. This was a Kickstarter project, and I'm glad that it succeeded and I received the board. So this is a small board. It's something like this in size. I don't know, it's like 2.5 centimeters by 5, 6, 7 centimeters, and it contains a bunch of the sensors. Not all data that you see here is from the sensor itself. I also bought the additional particle metal sensor, so this information from this sensor here is pulled from that, and yeah, only this one, I think. And unfortunately this one isn't working as it should be. But great thing about the board is that it has a lot more stuff than the other sensors you can buy off the shelf have. So for example, you can buy Xiaomi's humidity and temperature sensor, and it will do just that. It will display the humidity and temperature. Some of them have pressure sensor, but most of them don't. But this one also is tracking couple of silly things, but I find them really funny to watch. One is the sound. So you have two sensors here. One is a weighted sound pressure level, and the other one is peak sound amplitude. So if anybody yells, this sensor will get triggered, or the values will go up. Also, what it is tracking, illuminance. A lot of sensors, for example, Xiaomi motion sensor, one of the two types, has illuminance sensor inside. But this one not just tracks illuminance, it also tracks white level. So you get the intensity of white levels, how it's called, yeah, white light level numbers. You get the difference between the early morning sunshine, daylight, and then the evening light. You can see what is the difference in the warmth and the whiteness of the light itself that is entering your apartment, which is also a great thing, because if you pull statistics of that, you can mimic this same value with your lights inside house. So even on rainy days, if this value is, for example, lower than it should be, or that is normal for the sunny day, what you could do is you could fake this value and mimic it with your lights inside, so something like circadian light or something like that, but really based on your specific locations of the sensor and the room the sensor is in. So it was really fun. This one is still working on the Raspberry Pi. I have Raspberry Pi W, Raspberry Pi 0W for this one. It's just a Python script that pulls data from the board and then sends it to the MQTT, and component works with the auto discovery, meaning that really anything you push through this Python script will be pulled automatically inside Home Assistant. So this is also a new thing, and I really like it. I have it now running for, I don't know, 10 days or something like that. I think I put on the Discord server also the information when I was doing this integration. Okay, other thing I have been playing, and I have to thank Per once again for this, is of course my HiGrow plant sensors. I managed, so I bought one board, then I bought the another board. Per is releasing new firmwares and beta versions and things like that, so I play with them, try to help him test it, see if it's easy to integrate, if there are some tweaks that can be done. So he's doing development and I'm doing nagging, more or less. And during that time I managed to burn 2 of those. So yeah, those are the new ones, because I really want to get more of those boards. I ordered 2 to add to my number to have 4 total, but unfortunately I ended up again with only 2 boards working. One board was the one board ended up with the burned USB port. This is the board. This is result of my magnetic USB cable. So I was tweaking the case that Per designed for this board, and I wanted to fit this magnetic plug inside the box itself, and the magnetic connector that Per used for his sensor was a bit smaller, because he was only using a charging cable, and I on the other hand bought the cable with the data. So it had more pins, the head was larger, so I had to tweak the hole, and it was almost perfect, but not close enough. And I was trying to connect them, and they didn't align properly, and they didn't click, and then I forcefully connected them, which resulted in wrong pings getting connected, and this burned my one of the boards and also burned my laptop. Yeah, the only USB port on my laptop. Okay. But the board itself kept working, so I wasn't able to flash new firmware, I wasn't able to recharge the battery, but the board itself kept working. But the problem is that the version of the software on the board was version 2 dot something, and we are currently on 3 dot something, and Per completely changed on how the board communicates with the Home Assistant and MQTT server, because he was implementing auto discovery. So I couldn't keep the old board working. And next board that burned, I really do not know what happened to it. I was testing one of the 3 dot something versions of the firmware, and I was calibrating the board and calibration, and we were playing with the salt. Salt is this fertilizer values. We asked a Elgato company for some specific details on how this value is read, what should be some normal nominal values, how to see if there is a too much fertilizer or too little fertilizer in the ground. And based on that, Per did some customizations, and I was calibrating the board. And calibration was done in such a way that you first leave the sensor out in the air, so it doesn't have to be, so it must not be in the ground. The next one is to submerge board, of course not the electronics but the sensor part down on the bottom, into the fertilizer, so the concentration of the fertilizer, so you get the maximum possible value if the ground is oversaturated. And the third thing that I wanted to test was the numbers I get when you put it in the correct solution and you add that solution into the ground. So I just put some dirt, mixed the fertilizer with the water, inserted the board, and this was the last time the board sent anything. I don't know what happened. I checked and rechecked. I did see some difference in the voltages between those two boards, the one with burned USB and the one that's doing nothing. But the funny thing is that even if it's doing nothing, I can still connect it to the computer, and computer still recognizes it and finds the COM port, but you simply cannot program it and you cannot get any response from the board itself. So yeah, it was fun, but nevertheless I will be buying a couple more boards, and yeah, they are really fun, and I like them. So you can see that my cherry tomatoes are outside. They have been freshly watered. Temperature is so. Sun has set, so no light. There is fertilizer and the batteries. It wasn't full, but it's still holding on. Okay. So let's see what's new also. I don't know if anybody here is using the Zigbee to MQTT. I know that some people prefer ZHA, and I'm still waiting for my Deacon stick to arrive. And when it arrives, I will be testing the ZHA. But for now, I'm sticking to the Zigbee to MQTT because it's been working great for the last, I don't know, 2 years, something like that. And you know, don't change the horse that keeps winning. But the problem with the Zigbee to MQTT was always their lack of the user interface. So one thing that somebody did is this Zigbee to MQTT map that pulls the map data from the Zigbee itself. Yeah, this is the very old update. So this is how, I apologize. So this is how the map itself looked like before. Then somebody made Zigbee to MQTT admin or assistant, sorry, which was much nicer, at least visual representation of all your devices, with some basic information and what values or what information each of those sensors provides, which of course also is great. Strange. You could also see map here. So this is my current network map. And you can also play here with the allow join or disable join, because before you had to go inside the Zigbee configuration file and change the values there. A third option, which I forgot and I also used at one point, was a Node-RED. So somebody made a visual interface inside Node-RED. So if you would want to trigger discovery of new devices, if you want to set the log level of the Zigbee, you would go to the Node-RED and there trigger some stuff and you will get the result. But since the version 1.14. something, there was a beta version or pre-release version, and with the version 1.15 we now have Zigbee to MQTT official frontend. So I don't know if you have been playing with this one or not. It's still work in the progress, and there are some things that can be added and fixed here, but it's great because you can now remove both Zigbee map and Zigbee to MQTT assistant. You can see here the list of all devices, their address, manufacturer, model, quality of the link, how they are powered, battery, or are they plugged in, which is also great because here you can see status of the battery. So you have full battery, not so full. Is this less? Is the same? I don't have anything empty. You can here rename device, you can reconfigure device, check if there is a over-the-air update, and also remove device. If you click on device itself, you get some additional information. So this is my cube, name, what it supports, vendor, and the model. I didn't play it with bind here, and this is the states that were currently reported by the device itself. Maybe for the state we should go and look for this one and state battery 80%, humidity, link quality, temperature, and voltage. Okay. They also introduced map. Come on, load. It does take a bit for map to load because it's also initializing a network scan, and it takes a bit for all devices to report the state. I do not have to. Okay. Good. So kids room lamp is off probably. Somebody turned it off with a switch. Yeah. So here you have map of devices, how they are interconnected. This is my vibration standing, and it is connected with the vibration sensor. It is connected to the standing light, which is really strange because they are on very opposite sides of one of other, but okay, it's working. Then you have settings here. You can see here the raw settings for the Zigbee to MQTT. Groups, you can create them. Touch link, I know that some people were looking for the touch link functionality for to add Philips lights to the Zigbee to MQTT, and of course you have access to the log files themselves. So it's really fun because when I started working with the Zigbee to MQTT, it was just a plain old YAML file. You had to do everything there, and now it's really getting improved and worked on, which is really nice. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are using more Zigbee devices or Z-Wave devices, and if you're using ZHA or whatever for that, or this. As I said, I'm accustomed to this and I'm using it. Okay, let's see what is new here also. Did anybody play with the NFC? I didn't have enough time, so I only found one of my. I have, let's call it fake watch. It's a rubber band that has face like a watch, but it's really 1 millimeter thin NFC, and it's used for the amusement parks and things like that. I got a kit 10 years ago with multiple tags, and the only thing that's left from that kit is this one wristband. So I did test it with the Home Assistant app on the Android, and it's working, but I still haven't made any specific automation that would be triggered when I, make contact between the NFC and the mobile phone. The reason is I simply do not know what would be best way to do it or how I would go about and do that. Is anything here new? No. Oh, I have one update pending. I wasn't checking the notifications today. Let's switch to the recording. Okay. So let's see if I have been fiddling here with something. I think not. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has seen the video from the last week. This is the result of the video of the last week. I have to tweak that automation because on each start it's pulling the beta version, and because I simplified in the recording and didn't do matching between the current version and beta version, yeah, it just keeps popping up here. Nice, Christy. I don't have any Z-Wave devices, and I had a couple of questions if I would do any kind of a video for Z-Wave to MQTT or things like that. And the problem is that, okay, I can install the Z-Wave stick, I can install the Z-Wave, but there are no devices that I can control that work on that are Z-Wave, yeah, because I'm using Zigbee only. I did see this is the stick. Who was telling about the how it's called? Is it no? It's not Broadlink. It's not Deacons. How they call it? Gateway. Network gateway for both Z-Wave and Zigbee. This is something that I want to get my hands on and test, because on one hand it's also supporting Z-Wave, Zigbee, but I could also try and see if it's working with the Z-Wave and buy something for that. Okay, what's else new here? My automations are still passing. I don't know if anybody has gone to GitHub and look at my recording setup. That's nothing fancy there, but since I still have those integrations here, I have to make I have my recording repository also public. I will be probably pulling it down in a couple of days or weeks and remove those Travis CI integrations, because for my recording setup that changes a lot, that I play with, that I restore, I don't see benefit of that here. But on the other hand, I also receive notifications here if there is a new version, so that's great. Maintenance, nothing. Plans, this is the old version. Fun stuff, let's see if there is something fun. Nothing fun here. No, nothing. Yeah, I've been printing. Where is my print? You cannot see it, it's moved out of the scope. For the Reolink video I was recording for the next week, since we had a lot of rain and the weather was really not nice, I didn't know how to install cameras, so yeah, I apologize for that. The only way for me to be able to test cameras, to see the lag and everything, to have some, let's call it like that, quality images, was to install it on top of my 3D printer. So what I was doing, I was printing Matter Hacker's filament, that small astronaut, and I positioned two cameras above the printer recording the printing itself. For testing of the outdoor IP PoA power over Ethernet cameras, that's not the best setup, but it's working. Yes, I do. I have a couple of cases, Chrissy. One of them was the case from the Pear, which he has on his repository, and I played with it, and I found that this case for me was too robust. Pear is using the plant sensors in his greenhouse, and he doesn't want to be gentle on the plants or sensors, so he made a pretty sturdy case, which is really a thick one that you then seal permanently. You insert this magnetic plug for charging and set and forget. On the other hand, I'm using my sensors in the and case from Pear is waterproof. Bear in mind, it's waterproof depending on how you connect or cover the interface side, because you still have to you can print it without the USB-C hole on the case, but you can print it with the hole in the case for the USB-C cable. So the idea for Pear was to make it completely watertight and put it outside. Now I'm using other cases which I find much faster to print, and to be honest, I did print them only in the low quality, not high quality so far. Let me find it here. Just a second. Okay. It was a little go China site. HiGrow. I don't remember where I found the. Yes. Just give me a second. I will give you both of the links. Something is not loading up. I hope they did discontinue it. Okay. Let's see if this is the one. Nope. This is not the one. I'm using case like this now. So I will quickly find one from Pear. Just a second. So he has this case here, but this is in the yeah, this one. No, I will later on where can I do it? I will later on, for the case that Pear made, I have STL files, and I will be posting them, I don't know, somewhere, because Pear on his repository only has this one, and for this you need to install FreeCAD and convert it to be able to then import it in whatever and then print it. And let me quickly so I once again forgot to switch the display. Nice. Just a second. I should have some throbbing red light each time I change the window to change the source here also. Okay. Let me. Okay, so this is my shopping list. of all my orders. Wow, 24 pages. So this means 200 plus items ordered from the AliExpress. Nice. Okay, this one. And I think that the link to the one that I'm... No, still not. Maybe this one. I find that this case that is not watertight is much better. And of course now I'll probably have nothing to open this with. Oh no. I hate it. Okay, just a second. Just a second. So this is the... Of course, it will not show up. Okay, sorry. This is the original case from the LilyGo, and you can find it here. Okay, so this is the case that I'm using, and let's find the case. No, I have to post them somewhere, because Per made a free CAD version so that anybody can customize it. And what's he doing is he's implementing, he's allowing you to change the name of the plant on the housing. So when you print from his, let's call it like that, design, you then can personalize it with the name of the plant. Yeah, which is a great idea, but I find that case to be too thick to work with. Okay, where am I? Let me find. Okay, yeah, anybody has any specific question? Maybe how is everybody living lately? I think in August we had a stream and I talk gibberish always, but we talk about everything, what's going on, and one of the things was, where is it? I don't have it here. It's on my main setup. This is the... Let's not mention the name of that disease. Okay. Let me change to this one. So we were talking about number of people that were, yeah, that got the disease and things like that, and somebody mentioned, oh, you were lucky, we at that point only had about, I don't know, it was number something like, no, it was very low number in the first 3 months, 500 people or something like that. Then we no more, but now we managed to get to larger numbers, so we are just waiting to see if the schools will close once again and if we will have kids back home once again. And yeah, it will be a funny year once again. Okay, let's check what's new. I don't know if anybody's using garbage collection cart. I know that Frank was looking for a way to automate his trash can, and he was thinking of implementing the Aquara vibration sensor for this. I didn't go that far, and I will not go that far because I live in an apartment building, and it's different if you're living in a house and an apartment building. Hi Per, nice seeing you. We were just talking about you for a long time. So what I did is I implemented it's here, waste schedule, and me and my wife receive notifications every morning that on that day something is going out. So for example, today we received around 8 o'clock in the morning notification that mixed waste will be going, and this schedule is automatically, I have, let's call it like that, programmed. It's really not programmed, it's more or less typed in, because we have, I don't know, every second Thursday of month is something, then on every 15th day is something else. So it was really nice and easy to program, but we now receive notification whenever we have to do something. On the other hand, we really do not have to do anything, because yeah, this is how this system works. Trash cans are always outside on the street at the same spot where the collection company picks them up. So this notification doesn't do anything except maybe for the paper waste, because this is the waste that we fill up in the building most frequently. And when you get notification that paper waste will be going today, then you know that tomorrow you can bring more paper because the bins will be empty. So this is the way how I've done it, and this is done through two components. Both are through the HCS. One is garbage collection cart, and the other one is garbage collection integration. So this is the collection, and on the other hand, there is also in the front end, where is it, garbage collection cart. So they work nicely in pairs. You can have much nicer images in the Home Assistant, but for me this works great. Hi Jeff, how's it in Netherlands? Yeah, and I just saw that there are a lot more integrations. I try to keep this tidy, so I go through every single integration that pops up here. If I want to test something, then I keep it as listed here, and the other ones I remove. So for example, this one will definitely go because I'm not planning on doing any kind of alarm like that. And Pandora car alarm, dismiss. D-Link presence, this is something that I want to test. Kodi, dismiss, I don't use Kodi. Yes, that's correct, Jeff. I run HiGrow on Synology, among other things. To be honest, I have my main setup is the this is the main setup here. My main setup is the Home Assistant or HiGrow on Synology. My primary recording setup is also Home Assistant but on Xpenology. Then I have Home Assistant in Docker, and I also have Raspberry Pi Home Assistant. So I have a lot of Home Assistants, which also tells something about me. Probably I'll need a lot of assistants. Yes, and that's normal because it really isn't supported. It will never be supported. There are two reasons for that. One reason is Synology will never support it, and the other reason is that Home Assistant guys at this point do not see it as a platform that they want to manage. I would really like to see numbers, how many people are using either the Home Assistant in Docker on Synology or Home Assistant HiGrow on Synology. That would be really interesting statistics. I know that when they were planning to pull the plug on supervised version, a lot of people showed up in the comments there, and I've seen a lot of people. I wouldn't say if it's hundreds or thousands, but a lot of them. Yeah, I should get myself. No, I wouldn't get. No, I'm currently using Intel NUC, and if I have to exchange this, if I exchange it, I will definitely once again go for Intel NUC. Microsaver is great, but Microsaver was great for me until I've seen Intel NUC. But also depends on what is the for what you're using it. What is the case for you? If you need some heavy computing or anything like that, Microserve from HP will be always better than the Intel NUC, or you would pay really a lot of money to get the same configuration of the Intel NUC as the microserver. Hi, yeah, well, next time you have to eat up early or after the stream. No excuses. So this is very tricky question. I will try to put you in a perspective. So what is better, Synology or Raspberry Pi? I have this Synology device, meaning the one that I'm currently running. He is, I think, the one that I'm currently running is about 5 years old. I think it's 5 years old. Before that I had others, but this setup that I'm currently running was 5 years old. And I've been playing with the Home Assistant for 2+ years. So when I was looking at Home Assistant, I was thinking, oh yeah, I will get a Raspberry Pi for that. I will run it on Raspberry Pi. And I said, well, listen, you already have a device that is 24/7 available, that is running cameras, that is running bunch of other stuff. So why not see if you can put Home Assistant on that? And then I discovered that there is not just supervised version, but also the Docker version. So I installed Docker version. This is how everything really started. And this year I migrated to the supervised version. So for me, this was obvious choice because I didn't want to have too much. We moved into this apartment 5 years ago, also something like that. It will be 5 years this Christmas. So when I moved in, I said, okay, in this cupboard I have this space, and this space will be for my always on equipment. It has its own inside cupboard electricity, special fuse, distribution panel. It has fiber optics coming in, all the networking is coming in. I installed the UPS, I installed their Synology, so now everything is running inside that cupboard. And I really didn't want to bring any additional device that would be always plugged in, always consuming electricity, although I really do have a ton of devices that are plugged in continuously. But for this specific case, I just said no. If I want to manage something, I want to manage one thing. If I do upgrade, I do upgrade of Synology, and everything is upgraded. So I wanted to minimize tinkering. At the end, of course, now I have 4 setups, different setups, but this is more or less either because of the recording or some experimenting. Yeah, so on my summer house, I have Raspberry Pi running on I have Home Assistant running on Raspberry Pi. It's working great, but also there I do not have a single light. I do have Zigbee to MQTT Zigbee stick inside that. I have only one ESP home device. This is the smart plug. But I do have a lot of cameras on there. I do have a personal weather station, private weather station there. So it's a different implementation because there I do not have that many automations, but I do get more data from either sources from the internet or the cameras and motion sensors and rain, wind, and things like that. Hi, Jos. We did talk a little bit about Metriful. I will not be going into details, and I will have to cut today the stream short. My family already went a couple of minutes ago, and I'm currently, I think, only one here. We should be going to our friends which are living nearby for dinner. So yeah, I plan to have a 2-hour stream, but I will probably cutting the stream shorter in about 15 or 20 minutes. Oh, okay, it's 7 o'clock and my TV has started and it's muted. DS19, the story about the Synology is really great because I was talking with the friend of mine and he was talking about Plex, and it was not 10 years ago, but it was very close to 10 years ago. And he said, you know, there is something like DS214 or 213. Yes, Josh, it will be in separate video. I will be making a separate video especially for Metriful. I mentioned previously that I still have it working only on the Raspberry Pi W, but I will be also implementing Node MCU. Let me first talk about just a second about the Synology, and I will talk then about the watch time for the TV. I will leave it here. Where's my statistics for the watch time? Total TV time. Yeah. Okay, so I bought the version that was 2.1 something Play. So the Play was great because Play at the time was the only model that was capable of decoding video and to stream high quality content, not 4K. And it was working perfectly, but then I started to implement other things. And problem is that it was just not working as it should for the other tasks. So the Plex was working great. That part was really phenomenal, but I wanted to add, you know, something on top of that, and it simply couldn't handle it. The processor was terrible. Then on the other hand, I also worked in the IT, in the ICT, and I had one customer that was buying Lenovo Omega. And we had a bunch of problems with the Lenovo Omega NAS devices. The concept of the device was great, but the company had so much trouble. I think that, and no, Omega was bought by EMC, who then sold it to Lenovo, and support was terrible, and we had them dying every couple of months. But the problem is that those were production NASs they were used for the backup, but they were in a large cinema chain here in the region. And they asked me, can you please advise us of anything else? I said, okay, listen guys, I will see, but I think that you can do this on those plus devices, so 918 plus, 415 plus, or whatever, 920 plus. So I said, okay, here is one device I got you from the distributor, test it. If it works, it's great. And at that point there was a clear distinction. You had series, so for example you had 415, 415 Play, and 415 plus. After that generation, they introduced the 9.1 series, which is, I define it to myself as an enterprise version. It's not enterprise, but meaning that devices 415 and 415 Play couldn't be centrally managed, and 415 Plus was able to be managed from a single console. So you can have 20 of them, have one console, and update them in one place, check everything in one place. So it was great for the enterprise, or let's call it that, business customers. I hope I will get my hands on 920 plus, not to replace my current system. As I said, my current system is still working great, but I want to test it. I know that a lot of people had issues with 920 and the HiGrow version, so I want to test that, especially with the new version, and I want to see what are the differences. So hopefully, if I nag the guys at this distributor place, I could get myself DS920 for a week or two to test and record a couple of videos. Okay, so how do I measure watch time? Well, this is I created that a long time ago. I didn't know what to do one evening, and I was playing with something, and let me it's not loading again. It's loading. Let's see if it will pop an error or not. No. So total no. Sensor template. Total TV time. Here it is. As you can see, the script itself is pretty simple. So I'm using history stats for this. Give it a name. I pull the entity ID, so same as you, LGTV, and I check when the state is on, and then I convert it to 24 hours. Then I convert it and track only the last 24 hours for the TV time. But there is also one additional thing that I do. And this is the one. Just a second. What media player title? Here it is. Okay, so this is the fun part. This is really fun part. So what you can do, you can pull the media title, content type, and source. And let me quickly go back to the overview and to the TVs. So media source is live TV, meaning that this is DVB-T signal. This is not the IPTV or anything. Because it's a live TV, I can also pull the program name, and I know that this is a channel. So what this allows you, if you are using DVB-T, or if you are able to push your cable data, I apologize, I'm burping. If you are able to push your cable data into the TV, then you can use something like this to track the total amount of time for each specific channel you're watching. I use it to nag my kids, or one of the kids, the youngest daughter, when she was watching Nickelodeon. But we managed to resolve this. Now the Nickelodeon is on the ban list and it has passwords, so she cannot watch it anymore. So there are a couple of options on how you can do it. One is the, as I showed you previously, where is it now? Of course I closed it. So one was the total TV time, and the other one is the pulling of the sensor specific data. What you can do, I don't know if you know, but I also have my repository available publicly. Let me try and get the link here. Just a second. Too many windows open. If you want to check the scripts themselves, you can go on my GitHub. Let me post a link here. I'm so slow, sorry. Okay. So here you will find that inside entities, sensors, and there you will have total TV time. And the other one was, just a second, the other one was, should be somewhere here. Nope. I promise next time I'll put glasses. Ah, sensor template. Okay. Okay, so the other one should be here in sensor templates. Here you see, here you can get here, as I was learning, I didn't know how to do some things, so there are a lot of workarounds here, meaning that currently there are maybe better ways to do it, but for example, I also used this here to track the electricity, and it was really hard coded. When I said hard coded, it was really hard coded, meaning that, for example, in the living room I have 5 bulbs and each bulb is 10 watts. So I'm tracking the total state of the bulb being turned on and multiplying it with the maximum watts available. Yeah, it was very crude way of doing it, but on the other hand, you can use some of those templates here and customize them to your needs. Okay. Okay, I will be probably cutting it short in next 10 minutes. I have to run. I still have to get dressed and run uphill. They are making pizza, so I'm looking forward to eating some pizza. Okay, let me get back to question about Metriful once again. So currently, oh no, spoiler once again, or exclusive preview. So currently I'm pulling data from the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi has Python script that pulls data from the server, then pushes it to the MQTT server, and that way you only have to make one script, let's call it like that, permanent, or to have it run continuously, and it provides all the data for the Home Assistant. By the way, I have to say that I did something stupid, but I'm also very proud of doing that. The problem is that I have 2 setups, and most of my sensors and devices are in the primary setup, and my Synology / HiGrow recording setup has very limited number of the devices on itself. So what I did, I still have here MQTT installed, but I will remove it, as also this Zigbee to MQTT bridge. I said, okay, there has to be a simpler way, and what I did is I connected this Home Assistant to my primary Home Assistant, so any device now I add to the main setup is now also available in this setup. On the other hand, what this allows me, when I create videos and record videos, now I have much more flexibility in terms of what devices I will be adding for automation and how I can do stuff. In the next video you will not be seeing it, but one of the following videos that will be coming also about Reolink cameras, I will be using my main setup sensors for motion and door sensor to work with the cameras that are inside this recording setup. Also, anybody notice this one? I still am, I don't know if I will be recording video on that one. If I do it, will probably short one, and I don't know if anybody will be watching it. But on the other hand, this is so nice device that I will probably record it. Although implementation is very easy, you are limited in terms of what you can do with this Elgato Key Light. Let me switch to main setup. I think that in main setup I'll already have installed it. Just a second. Okay. Overview. Lights. Yeah. There are not many things that you can do with this one, but to control it from the Home Assistant is very nice. I think that you cannot even change the color of the light, so it can be only what has been preset previously. But funny thing, if I do video about it, funny thing will be that I will be covering automation based on the status of the light. So if I'm streaming, the light will be always at 100%. I will buy additional light because I'm still missing something to kill the shadows. So what I'll do is, when I work at this table, I have this light maybe at 20-30%. And the automation will probably be something like this. If the camera brightness is over 50%, then I will in the apartment change some lights to say that, hey, listen, he's recording. And if the lights are below some threshold, then none of the automations will go through. Also, probably I will be only using this one when I work, and the other one that will go here I will not be using all the time. So I will also be watching if both of them are on, then probably I'm recording, and if only one of them is if both of them, I'm probably recording and streaming. But if only one of them is lit, then I'm probably just recording video. What is the difference? The difference is the ambient noise that you hear or not hear from the family around me. So when I'm streaming, they are on the lower floor and they try to keep volume down. When I'm recording, they know that I can cut, so they start talking, running, screaming, yelling, kids playing, because they know that this is not live, and yeah, I can spend additional 5-10 minutes to just cut the parts where you hear them speaking or me yelling at them and asking them to please be quiet. Okay. Okay. Let me see if there are any additional questions maybe. This time I'm on water because my oldest daughter went outside with her friends on some concert. And probably I will have to pick her up this evening, so no beer for me. Let me check something else. Okay, it's 7:20. We have been streaming for 1 hour and 20, and I will be wrapping up this stream. As I mentioned earlier, as I mentioned on the start of the stream itself, I will probably be changing schedule. I'm still negotiating my time with the family. They're proposing to move streams from the Saturday to Friday. And my idea was to try and follow Home Assistant releases. So as Home Assistant is released every 3 weeks, I will probably have streams on the first Saturday or first Friday, depending on the negotiations. On the first Friday or Saturday after the release of the Home Assistant. So for example, if the version 117 will be released on, I don't know, 15th of November or 5th of November, let's say it like that, then my next stream will be Friday or Saturday after that. But I will be, of course, keeping you posted and nagging you with all the notifications that I send around. I really do try to keep my notifications under control. I don't know if anybody noticed or not. Let me just check it here. Yeah, nobody noticed, and I didn't notice too, that my Discord bot finally didn't publish anything in regard to the stream, which is also fail, because what it did before is it would trigger each time I create a stream, even if it's scheduled, meaning that, for example, I can schedule now a stream for 3 weeks, and this idiot of the bot would automatically push notification, hey, new video is out. And then I tweaked something, and it seems that my tweaking has completely killed, because it missed to send notification when I really went live today. But as I said, I'm really trying to keep the number of the spam as low as possible, and if you have any idea on how to improve that, please send me a note. I will think about it and probably discard it, but I will still think about it. Thank you once again for watching this. Just a second, what I'm doing. Where am I? Windows. Okay. So I will be wrapping up the stream. I still have to go and dress up for the party, pizza party. Thanks everybody for joining in the stream. Hopefully the next video, as I mentioned, on this Wednesday will be Reolink cameras and all the various ways you can integrate them with the Home Assistant. This will be specific for Reolink cameras, but most of those integrations will work for other cameras, no matter if you have Synology, and I will cover Synology surveillance station, if you want to connect them directly, if you have Motion Eye, and hopefully I will finally manage time to once again install ZoneMinder and try everything with the ZoneMinder too. But this is it for this stream. Thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. I wish you all have a nice Saturday, no matter if it's evening for us in Europe or still early morning for you guys over the Atlantic Ocean. And until the next time, take care everybody, and bye bye.